Yeah.
So today's topic, I'm going to give you 120,000 dirhams cash. Which car are you going to buy?
No parameters, no
at all.
Purpose, no particular
nothing, no.
application.
Your wife is not phoning you and saying,
yeah.
Are you buying a car? Which one are you buying?
Oh, well, this sounds like a dream.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally.
No.
So I'm going to buy the stupidest car that would never be allowed in the UK. The BMW I'm on now is my 7th BMW.
Yeah, you're not learning your lesson.
No. Absolutely not.
BMW folks are actually Porsche people, but they're just poor. But I had an S197 and same. In fact, I think you've fondly said you could hear me before you could see me.
That's right.
I was coming.
I'm always going to have a soft spot for the Mustangs.
Welcome back to.
All right. Okay. Go on, we can do
Okay.
Keep that.
Okay. Blooper, we're going live. We are live. Okay. Welcome back to another AutoMarket podcast. Thank you again for joining, Sabir and Oms. It's lovely to have you both, and I'm still shocked and surprised that you both are still here and have been allowed back. But
I
thank
swore
you.
after the last time that was the last time.
That was the last time. You said that before.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that before. So today's topic is a topic around. It's a theoretical topic. I'm going to give you 120,000 dirhams cash.
Okay. So we
Yeah.
get paid for
Finally.
No.
Finally.
Let me finish. You aren't getting paid. We have no money. That's why we have a 16-year-old researcher sitting over there working. We basically give you 120,000 dirhams each. You can't combine. It's a singular purchase. It's not a combined. So you can't get a Bentley combined. So anyway, you've got 120,000 dirhams to spend. Which car are you going to buy and why? And whilst you're thinking about this, I'm not going to give you any sort of guideline in the sense that, it has to be this type of car. It's got to be this make or has to have this purpose. I want you to think, I've got 120,000 dirhams and you're looking online on AutoMarket. You're like, which car shall I buy?
You have to spend all of it on a car?
Do you know what? Actually, you don't have to spend all of it. Are you asking this because you're going to modify it?
That's what's going to happen.
No.
isn't it?
I was
He's
thinking
going to spend the modification budget before the car
I was
comes.
thinking more put 100 into crypto and 20 on a car.
This is not an investment.
This is definitely not an investment. We'll tag say not investment. No investment. Yep, no investment.
There's a car meme coin out there. I'm on it.
Yeah, I don't think that's probably a wise idea, but B, no, 120,000. You know what? Actually, you can, if you want to add a little bit less for the purchase versus modification. The rattle cans aren't that expensive, so you can add that as part of your budget buy. So 120,000 dirhams. What are you going to buy?
And no parameters. No purpose, no particular
nothing. No
application.
No. There's no. Okay. Your wife is not phoning you and saying, Are you buying a car? Which one are you buying?
Oh, well, this sounds like a dream.
No, this is.
How do I get my wife
it
not
is a dream
to call me
because
and ask if I'm buying a car?
It's not. That's not possible. That's definitely a dream.
So that's not part of this.
Right. Well, it is a dream because I'm giving you 120,000 dirhams. I wouldn't give you 120,000 dirhams anyway. Give you 10.
You don't have a wife.
And you don't.
I don't know.
He's going to walk off.
He's living in a different world.
Back in the room.
120,000 dirhams and no wife. What sort of a game is this?
And you to buy a car.
So, what are you gonna buy? What's kind of going? Do you know what?
So you want to go first because I think I'm
going to be biased.
I think Sabir's still shopping. Look, I can see.
I know exactly what I'm buying.
We may well be aligned to some degree.
This is going to be okay. Go on. This is going to be interesting. Go on.
Right.
I mean, for me, a second-hand sports car, passion project, fun, something that was previously unattainable for me, right? Or buying you would have been unattainable. Is absolutely the way to go, right?
Okay.
Because if you've got 120 to spend on anything and there's no parameters, like you said, it doesn't have to be a family car. It's not forced out of necessity.
Yeah.
So assuming those things are already taken care of, a Porsche Cayman S, Boxster GTS, the V6 generation, so first or second
Yeah,
generation.
yeah.
Probably, I think you could find in that in around that price.
120,000. What year?
2012, 13, 14, I guess.
Yeah, I think that probably does fall within budget. I would. So we are actually similarly aligned.
Are you going to pick the same car?
It's not actually the same car. We're not actually buying the same car. It's. I would go a little bit older, and yes, I'm biased because I'm Porsche file through and through. So it had to, of course, be a Porsche. I think there's no surprise.
I expect not a Kia.
Not a Kia. Notwithstanding the fact that this is sponsored by Kia.
This is not sponsored by Kia. Stop saying that.
This is not sponsored by Kia. Why
Kia.
do we talk about Kia so much in this podcast? Okay, fine. So if it wasn't a Kia, it would have to be a Porsche, but I would go older. Now, it's
interesting.
I don't mind the older Porsches. And if I was going 120 grand.
We're still talking Porsches.
And we're still talking Porsches. We're still talking Porsches. Still talking cars. For 120 grand, I would actually go. And we mentioned that there weren't any parameters, and there wasn't a family car, and it wasn't sport. It doesn't have to be this, it doesn't have to be that. But what I'm going to say actually ticks every single one of the boxes, and it's one of the reasons I believe every generation of this model is the absolute perfect car. It has to be.
This is.
I
know exactly. This is you are
sponsored by Porsche. I wish. Absolutely.
This is definitely.
Yeah, it has to be a 911. It's going to be a 911, and I would go so far as to say you can get Gen 1 997s, might be a base Carrera.
Yeah.
But frankly, there is no more car than you need than that. If you want to have maybe a slightly higher model, might even drop to the 996. But let's say base Carrera 997 is probably what I would go with. You've got everything that you would possibly need in a car. It is the consummate sports car. It does have 2 small seats in the back, which are actually pretty damn practical.
What'd you do with them?
My Porsches have been used for, I was trying to say, from a sensible perspective, the school runs are absolutely fine. You can still get 2 kids in the back, wife in the front, or whoever else you want in the front, and you're absolutely fine. It's practical to take to the grocery store, enough space to stick some groceries in the front. It's a sports car when it needs to be, it's a cruiser when it needs to be, and it just performs in every single one of those categories in a way that no other car simply can. So I would go with a first generation 997 Porsche Carrera.
Weren't the first generation 997s that used to suffer from IMS issues?
The infamous IMS issues, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You've got no money left, mate.
I read an interesting, might be completely made up statistic somewhere that apparently it was only somewhere between 5 and 10% that actually did suffer from the IMS failure.
Okay.
But the problem was because if the implications of such a catastrophic failure, that it became a much bigger issue than it was. So everyone started getting worried about the IMS, IMS bearing, and then these RMS seals and stuff as well.
Yeah.
But it was an easy fix, so everyone had done it. And by now, generally speaking, if you're going to be picking up a 911 of that sort of age, probably it's had it done. It's not a very expensive fix. So even if you were to take a portion of that 120 budget and put it towards having the IMS upgrade done, I think you'd be absolutely fine. So that's where I'd go with the 120.
Interesting. You both went Porsches. This is quite...
I mean, I think, I agree with Sabra, to be honest. It is a Porsche, whether it's a 911, whether it's something slightly newer, without the IMS issues.
Yeah, like the Cayman. Actually, the Cayman never suffered with the IMS issues, was it?
No, the Cayman is completely different.
Yeah.
Different engine,
completely,
different drivetrain. Cayman is a brilliant car. Absolutely brilliant. I don't know, you like slightly newer ones as well. So, absolutely no. My first Porsche was a 987 Cayman S. That was, and I love that car's pieces. It's probably one of the best handling cars I've had. Absolutely love its pieces, and it's massively overlooked. Brilliant value for money. Can't go wrong with it. Just so I'll back you on that.
Yeah, I mean, and look, I'm not as experienced as you in Porsches, for example, but when the Boxers first came out, the Caymans first came out, it was always viewed as a poor man's Porsche, right?
Yeah.
And I sort of had that connotation until I drove one, and I was like, actually, build quality is great, engine is fun, I'm flying. You'll remember the scenario we were talking about once. So just talking about value for money, I mean, I had an old Japanese import Mercedes SLK.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember. Yeah,
V6.
320, right?
Yeah. No, three.
Was it
I think it was 320.
320? Yeah, V6. Yeah.
It was V6. Yeah, and actually, a very good car, right? Really, and that was a 2006,
Yeah.
and I picked it up extremely reliable. Did some modifications to it.
Yeah.
Made it more fun. Yes, there's
sound like you.
That's.
very clean car. To the point where I would get compliments on that car, and people would not recognize the age it was just because of the way it looked.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to Sabri once, well, you know, 3+ liter V6, Boxsters, 3+ liter V6,
Flat six.
flat six.
Flat six, yeah, flat six, yeah.
Yeah, right.
He's new to Porsches.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Me too.
A
Many
lot of
things.
things.
Still talking about cars.
But yeah,
And saying,
Yeah.
can't be that different.
Yeah.
Can't be that different.
Yeah.
For the first time in his life, Sabri was probably quite polite and stayed quiet. Credit to you for that. And then I drove one, and ultimately now I own one, simply because I had so much fun in it. And my God, what a different car! And for 120, 130 ish, price point, maybe going up to 150 for a well looked after example, of that age range. Honestly, if anyone came to me and said, "I've got this much money, I want to buy a car for me," this would be my choice. I would say, just go for this.
You got a Boxster S, right? It was Boxster, yeah. But it's the same engine that uses in the
exactly
Cayman,
same
right?
car.
It's
Cayman S and Boxster
yeah,
are the same.
it's pretty much same chassis, or
it is basically the same. So you see, the underpinnings are effectively the same. And I think I vaguely remember that there was a slight difference in the engine as well. I can't remember now off the top of my head.
Okay, yeah.
There might have been, but notwithstanding, just brilliant cars. Absolutely brilliant.
they're both mid-engine as well, right? So it's
the handler. I mean, it's everyone always talks about the the 911 being the pinnacle of the Porsche brand, etc., etc. And there's this whole controversy where they said they purposely held the Cayman and the Boxster back. They didn't give as much power as they could have done because had they done so, it would actually be faster around the track than the 911. Because frankly, just from a balance perspective, from a handling perspective, it's completely different to 911, and it is just so well made for perhaps not as well, but the handling capabilities when you compare it to 911, absolutely superb. So there was always that, has it been engineered out? So some of that performance has been engineered out. But it's a sublime car. There genuinely is, and I know I sound like a Porsche fanboy, but they're really just...
No. I just means I couldn't tell.
I mean, this podcast is either Kia or Porsche.
It's either Kia or Porsche. But yeah, there really isn't anything like it. And as you said, Dom, you compare it to your SLK, and you're assuming that it's going to be, both German cars, both convertibles and smaller sports cars, two-seaters, etc., but just completely different beasts.
Well, I mean, look, if we were to say, okay, let's move away from the Porsche conversation and see what other cars they were. For me, I think also, but you have to be prepared to invest in it at some point. Further down the line, is a BMW, an M3.
Oh, which one though?
I mean, the E46 is
actually
appreciated in value, right?
So you could only know what the price point is now for an E46.
Struggle to find a good example of that price.
What, an E90?
So maybe the E90.
E92 might be the...
What about E46? Would you be able to get?
Oh, E46. I actually think they've appreciated enough to
more than.
Is that right? Wow. Great cars though.
Oh,
so before I was a Porsche fanboy, I was a BMW fanboy. It was just always I was BMW through and through.
What's this thing I've heard that people say that, and this is actually really funny actually hearing you both BMW people, by the way.
Okay.
There's a saying that they say BMW folks are actually Porsche people, but they're just poor. I
hadn't heard that, but
have you not heard that before?
Unfortunately, I have to agree with it.
It made me laugh. You know why it made me laugh?
My first car was a BMW, but had I had a choice, it probably would have been a Porsche, right?
It is really funny actually hearing that from you both, and both BMW guys have now gone.
It's the drive. It's the feeling when you drive.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I think we've all driven different cars, various cars, and time again. I mean, I think the BMW I'm on now is my seventh BMW.
Yeah. You're not learning your lesson.
No, absolutely not. Because
We
the
found where
drive-
the indicators
because
are.
the
Yeah,
drive-
it's just
What's that?
yeah, the things. Yeah,
It's optional extra, I think.
Is it optional
That's
extra?
where you hang the air freshener, right?
That's right. You're right.
You have an air freshener. So.
No, it's the glue smell. So it smells
It's the new car smell.
you can't smell.
Yeah.
So no, I mean, from that perspective, just to drive is so much fun. Like
Yeah.
in a Porsche, in a BMW.
Yeah.
I'm sure with the AMGs as well, the Mercedes, it'd be very good as well. Audis, test driven a few, and actually was disappointed with the feel. You feel quite removed from the car.
Yes, I
'Cause
feel
always
that.
thought, for example, Golf GTIs,
Yeah.
Golf Arms, for example, I always thought as a second-hand car for this kind of price point,
Yeah.
if not even cheaper,
Yeah.
you really can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And they are fun. They're nippy.
Absolutely.
They are, yeah, yeah,
reliable,
yeah.
They've got space. All they tick all the boxes.
Yeah.
But there's just something that's slightly missing from them. And I think once you've gone into something like a BMW or a Porsche, you really develop a feel for that driving capability and
Yeah.
the feedback you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's missing from other cars. So for me, I think I'd always end up with a BMW at some point in my life, just simply
Yeah.
because I enjoyed the ride so much.
No, there's a real connection. There is a lot of similarity actually between the feel the BMW drive gives you and what the Porsche gives you.
Yeah.
It feels like the Porsche is a little more enhanced, and it is about that feel, that drive, that connection that you feel to the car, to the road, to all of that sort of stuff. And it was always the BMW slogan, the ultimate driving machine, and that comparison between BMWs and the Mercedes generally felt like that, and that's why I was always in the BMW camp, because I love driving, and I love the way they handled and the way you felt the feedback through the steering wheel, etc., in a way that I never felt or connected with a Mercedes. It always felt like a Mercedes would be a great car to be driven around in, whereas the BMW would be a car I would want to drive myself.
Yeah.
And then, it got to the point where, I was in a position where I was able to afford Porsche, and I thought, look, I've done the BMW thing for a while.
Yeah.
Still love them, still great cars, etc. But let's try this. Let's see where we go. And I think it was a friend of mine who said, look, you've been there, you've done that, you know what that is. And I distinctly remember when I was buying the Cayman S.
He made his friend up, by the way.
I was going to say, does he have any friends?
So it's a long time ago.
After this podcast.
And it came down to choice between the Cayman S and I believe it was the Z4 Coupe. I think it was probably it was probably a 3 litre. I don't think it was an M or anything like that.
Okay,
Well, so they say, right? But it was the Coupe version, right?
Don't you have a convertible Boxster?
Which used to be called a hairdresser's car, but I'll back you up on it.
I
not
never
being a
heard that
hairdresser's
rumour
car.
before I looked into
Yeah.
Anyway,
It's not a hairdresser's car, hairdresser's owner's car.
Yes.
So best cards. Anyway, so
Best
and it was coming down to those two cars, and my friend just said, look, it's all great. BMW's a great car. You can love it. You're not going to go wrong. But just imagine the feeling you're going to get. And you just sit there and you think, I've got a Porsche.
Yeah.
I drive a Porsche. I didn't really think too much about it, but after I bought it and then it's connected with the car, and it does. It gives you that kind of that special feeling, which
He made him feel like a man.
Is he going to start crying again? He's
start crying. It's an
very
emotional
emotional.
time. It's an emotional
It's
time.
only 120,000 dirhams.
It's the first 120
and it's not real. I'm not giving you
He's wishing for that 120,000 right now.
Exactly.
You know, there's
yeah.
one very interesting point that came to mind whilst he was going on and on, which is that actually all three of us here, we have all owned V8 Mustangs.
Oh.
None of us have had a negative experience with them. We've
True.
had
Well, the Mustangs.
yeah.
Is going sideways when you're not expecting it. A negative or a
wow.
positive experience?
No, what I mean is none of us have had a negative experience.
Yeah.
Yet none of us
Have said
have
Mustang.
mentioned that.
Yeah.
And
That's
actually,
a
we've
good
all
point.
enjoyed those.
That's
Yeah,
true.
that's a very good point.
That's a great point. And
Most of my points usually are.
Most of your points are actually quite good points. It's a different car. It is a different car.
Yeah.
I'm always going to have a soft spot for the Mustangs. It's,
Likewise. Yeah.
You know, whether it's pretending that you are Steve McQueen and Bullet or Nicolas Cage and Gone in 60 Seconds to those absolutely. There's V8 Mustangs, 100%. And actually, so for me, the Mustang is always going to hold a really soft space because it was the first car I bought when I came to Dubai for myself. And it was off the back of, look, this is a car that I wouldn't have back in the UK.
Yes.
It's impractical. It's too large, engines too big, etc., etc. And so I always think back to it with fond memories, and it reminds me of like a simpler time when you just moved to Dubai and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're still talking about the car.
We're still talking about the car. Still talking about the car. Solid car. So mine was the S550. So that was so mine was, I think 2015 is when I got mine.
Yeah.
Those newer models, the independent suspension, etc. So it wasn't the live axles.
Much
handled
better.
Brilliantly, well made, brilliant. You're absolutely right. No criticism whatsoever.
And I think it's fair to say your car, like other things, has been passed around quite a bit, right? So we've all experienced your car at some point.
Yeah, I think it's been passed around to one of our friends now.
I'm a generous guy. What can
But I had an S197 and same. In fact, I think you fondly said you could hear me before you could see me.
That's right.
I was coming. Absolutely amazing for the money.
That would be the
For the money.
IBS.
For the money, huh?
That would be the
IBS, that's IBS.
But it's funny you should say that. Notwithstanding the IBS, we'll move on from that. But no, you're right. So for the car you get for the money, I mean, this is the thing with the American brands. You get so much, and they have rightly or wrongly, they do have a bad rap for maybe they might not. The build quality or reliability, and I never experienced any of that. The Mustang for me was brilliant, and the amount of tech you get, and the amount of comfort and creature comforts, etc., you get for the price point and the performance. Frankly, I'm for those, man.
Yeah, you both didn't choose it.
As long as it's not a
Which is
Chevrolet.
interesting because actually that was my first choice of car when I arrived to Dubai.
Same here. Well, not first one, but yeah.
No, I mean, that was the first car I bought because it was
See, we're all connected
Actually-
this way. Look at this.
This is really weird. This
This is actually really
very
bizarre.
weird.
I don't know why this hasn't come up before, actually. I haven't made this connection.
so it was for the price point, and I think I bought mine for sort of under 50,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah.
Right? I must profess I don't know the model number of the.
You had an S197 as well, pre-facelift with weird gull-wing doors.
What he said. No, the gull-wing doors.
Sorry, it wasn't gull. It was the scissor doors, right?
Scissor doors. Yes, it was scissor doors.
It had scissor doors on it.
Butterfly doors, yeah.
You never saw it,
I never
right?
saw that one.
Okay.
He loved it. He was like, "Oh man."
Scissor doors.
Wow.
Baller exhaust.
Yeah,
Really?
Baller exhaust loud.
Was it louder than yours?
It's louder than mine. I had a Roush.
No, I don't think it was.
No, I had a Roush. I think the Baller's normally louder.
Baller would probably
The baller had a drone to it.
Yeah,
drone,
yeah.
The Roush was incredible.
However,
Lovely.
jet
Lovely
black,
sound.
yeah.
Right.
honestly, like, was a mean-looking car.
Yeah.
Like, and I really enjoyed it. And it was almost, I come to Dubai, I can now afford insurance and petrol.
I think we've all gone through this.
Let alone the car. So
Yeah.
I'm going to buy the stupidest
Yeah.
car that would never be allowed in the UK.
Yeah.
And that's really where I felt. I mean, I test drove a Challenger Charger
Yeah.
as well, and the Camaro.
Yeah.
But I think the Mustang just, and to your point, actually quite well made.
Yeah.
I didn't have any issues with that car at all in the 2 years I owned it.
Yeah.
I think the AC went, and that was covered under the service package with Altea.
Compressor or?
Yeah, I can't remember to be
Okay,
honest, but
yeah.
whatever it was covered.
Okay. Yeah.
And interestingly enough, when it went in for a service,
Yeah.
they screwed up one of my gull wing doors. Scissor doors.
Scissor doors,
right.
butterfly
And then-
doors.
Talking about this warranty conversation that
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
once before,
Right.
they sourced the part from the US, shipped it in, gave me a brand new Nissan Mondeo for 4 weeks, whilst they.
A Nissan Mondeo.
Nissan Mondeo. What's
That's
the
pretty
Nissan?
impressive car.
What on earth is
I
a Nissan
think they screwed
Mondeo?
you over there.
Oh, hey, have you seen my Honda Escort?
What did I mean?
Nissan Mondeo.
Yeah.
My Escort RS was Nismo.
Hey guys,
Gave you a
have you-
Nissan Mondeo.
that is
No one's listening to this
You know
for
what?
the expertise.
That is impressive. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know any dealership that would turn around and say, I would have said, listen, mate, you put some stupid doors on it.
That's your problem.
That's your problem. It's like, you
But,
guys-
no, but the funny thing was, and this is not discredit to any dealership, right? But the funny thing was when I went back to pick up the car from a service, when I noticed something was wrong,
Yeah.
the door was up, and they handed it. The gentleman drove it over to me and handed it to me with the door up. So I went to put the door down, and it went down and wouldn't close, so it was sticking full out. And then he said, no, but this is like this when it came in. I was like, you think I drive around without
holding the door?
door?
Do you know what? That is really impressive that they did that for a because
if they had any mods like that,
I can't think of any dealership ever doing that. They would, all of them would turn around and say, "I'm sorry, but it's aftermarket." Yeah, modified it.
But they honoured it, right? And credit to them. But that side, actually, as a car, it was an amazing fun car. And actually, one of my regrets is selling it. I would have loved to have kept it as another car in my, your garage.
As if you haven't got enough.
He's getting emotional again. He's crying about this.
Every time I see my Mustang, which, as you say, is still sort of within the
vicinity being passed around still.
It's been passed around. So I get emotional thinking about it. It's a great car.
So on that, I think we'll end on that note. Thank you both again. 120,000 dirhams, and you both came up with Porsches, and then you both decided to say you both like Mustangs. So this is not only confusing for the listeners, it's confusing for me. But
generally, you're quite confused.
I am quite confused.
Look, if no one's worked it out by now, we really don't know what we're talking about. So,
yeah, exactly. This is great. I think it's great advice for everybody.
Thank you for the half an hour you spent listening to us.
Exactly. After 20 minutes being spent on the ins and outs of Porsche. Right?
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Appreciate you both joining, and look forward to future podcasts with you guys on AutoMarket. Thank you.
Thanks, mate.